are going to be mostly story problems. So 1.5 is looking at applications of what we've seen in most of Chapter 1. And we're going to take a look at how those apply and different variations and things like that. So first one, the area near the joining of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in modern Iraq has often been called the cradle of civilization. The which? They're the two rivers we're working with right now. So where they join is known as the cradle of civilization because there's been a lot of ancient cultures that there's evidence of. The length of the Euphrates River exceeds that of the Tigris River by 620 miles. If they have a combined length of 2880, how long is each river? Ilya, how would I set this up? What are my two variables in this situation?
620 miles and 288.
Are those variables?
Sure. Let's go with length.
Length of what?
Of the river.
Which river?
Euphrates.
Okay. So we'll call X the length of the Euphrates River. Okay. And then.
Why is the other river?
Okay. So length of our other river. Tigris. Okay. Okay. So now we've identified our two variables. Okay. Can I set up a system of equations that might help me solve this? Yeah. Okay. What would that be? Do you have one of them, John? X plus 620. So I'm saying the length of the Euphrates River plus 620 miles.
Plus y equals 2,880.
Not quite. What is this saying if I actually read what this means? The length of the Euphrates River plus 620. Or what's
plus 620 equals y.
Okay, so what you're telling me right now, let's see if we agree with this, Dylan. What we're saying right here is that, based on the way we've defined our variables at the moment, we're saying that the length of the Euphrates River is 620 miles more, or the Euphrates plus 620 will give me the Tigris. In words, we said the length of the Euphrates exceeds that of the Tigris by 620. Did we do that correctly?
Yes.
So this is Tigris or Euphrates going to be longer? Euphrates. So if I said Euphrates plus 620 equals Tigris, does that make sense?
Yes.
No. Because this is telling me right now that Tigris is going to be longer. What do I need to do? Flip-flop these. Okay? Good. So we can actually say that the Tigris plus 620 will equal Euphrates. So in this case, because I defined it where Euphrates is this, and it exceeds Tigris by 620. So Tigris plus 620 will get us there. Okay, cool. Then what else do I know? Henry?
They have a combined length of 2880.
So how can I write that equation?
X plus y equals 2880.
Excellent. So my total distance of the two of them is going to be 28. And now we can use substitution. I have x solved in terms of y here, so we can take this and substitute in. And so we'll see that y plus 620 plus y will equal 28. Okay, and then as we, that did not work very well, 0. Okay, and then we'll subtract 620 from both sides. So see that 2y is going to equal 260. So y is going to equal 1130. Okay, so we see in this case the Tigris River is 1,130 miles. Good. Then we can take that, substitute it back in, and we'll see that 113. Wow, I'm going too fast. 1130 plus 620 will equal our x, which is the Euphrates River. So the Euphrates River is 1750 miles. Cool. So now we know how long each river is. So try to grab this information, set up systems of equations, because we'll have two variables. We can go from there. Yes, Dylan?
Never mind.
Good?
Take that back, yeah.
Okay. So that's the first type of one we'll see where we have to set up a system of equations. We'll grab that information and work with it from there. Okay, next type of thing we're going to see. Okay, so high-tech home improvements buys a fleet of identical trucks that cost $32,750 each. The company is allowed to depreciate the value of their trucks for tax purposes by $5,250 per year. Okay, this is actually a very common thing. A lot of companies that have big product things that lose value over time, they'll take it and depreciate it for a tax write-off over time. And so if the value of the truck is this, usually between 5 to 15% of your value you can depreciate each year. And so instead of doing a little bit every year, they'll just flatline that so it's a consistent rate. So what we want to do is look at this. This company's policy is to sell their trucks once they're worth $6,500. We want to figure out how long this truck will last. So in this situation, what's going to be our variables? Lauren, do you know what our variables could be here? What's the two things we're talking about?
The first cost of $32,750.
Okay, so is that a variable or a constant? 32,750. Constant. So what are my variables? What are the things that could change?
5250.
Is that a variable? Okay. So one of the things we keep seeing is we ask for variables and our gut tells us to do what? Go find numbers. Numbers are not variables. So what is going to change here, Jackie? Good. The truck's value and the number of years, right? So this value is going to change over time. So let's call this maybe the value. Y equals the value of our truck. And then X is going to be our time, which is in years right now. Okay? So we can use that to help us figure it out. So our truck's value starts where? $32,750. Good. Okay. There's where the number comes into play. Okay, so there's my starting value. And then what happens to it every year? It depreciates. Good. So Regan, we're going to have $32,750. Then what? Excellent. So we're going to go down $5,250 per year. So our variable X comes into play here. Now, in this case, they actually identify one of our variables for us. It wants us to say, when will this truck be worth $6,500? So $6,500 goes in for what? What? Excellent. That's the value of the truck. So we'll substitute that in. So we'll end up with 6,500 equals our 32,750. And somebody with a calculator, do me a favor while I'm finishing writing this. Subtract the 32,750 from both sides. So when we subtract 32,750, what do we get left over here? Negative number. Huh? We're subtracting 32,750 from both sides. What do we end up with? 26,250. Okay, and then divide both sides by our negative 5,250. I believe we come up with 5. Should be, I think they're both negative numbers. Good, so what we came up with is x equals 5. What does that mean? So Chris, what does this answer actually tell me? What does this mean? What does my answer actually mean? Try to actually take answers, put context on it. What's going on? What does this mean? Numbers are great, but let's put meaning behind it. Yes, Dylan?
In 5 years, the truck will be at $6,500 that they should sell them, so they'll keep it for 5 years.
Perfect. So what we just found out is on average this company, when they buy their truck, is going to sell their truck in 5 years. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so we've got some of these ones where we'll be looking at y equals mx plus b type equations and have to apply it. The next ones are one of my favorites. How many of you guys like doing the number games? Like the consecutive integers and stuff like that. I'm trying to find them. They're like puzzles. Everybody might want to focus in on this one because you have a handful of these questions. They're all similar. Okay? Yes, Ben.
So we have the equation on 61. It's like centimeters squared is the answer you're trying to.
We're going to keep doing these.
Can I ask a quick question?
I'll come help you with your homework here in a second. Focus here, and I bet you'll learn something. Thank you. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. When the smaller two consecutive integers is added to 3 times the larger, the result is 51. How can I build variables for this? We go x and y, okay, and then we'll have 2 equations basically. So I have x, okay. What's x going to represent? Okay, x will represent our smaller integer. Okay, so it's some integered value. Okay, so y could be our larger one. Okay, now that I have 2 variables, I need to have at least 2 equations to help me out. How are these related? If I have 2 consecutive integers, they're right next to each other. Is there a way I can write that mathematically? Yes, that'll work. X is going to be our integer. To get 1 integer further, what do we need to do to it? Plus 1. Excellent. So y could be equivalent to x plus 1. Because it's going to be the next consecutive integer. Okay, so in this case, I want to use this information now. So when the smaller of the 2 consecutive integers is added, so when the smaller one is added to 3 times the larger, okay, which y we can substitute in as x plus 1. The result is 51. So this will be a similar setup to what we do every single time. Okay, so now what do I need to do? Distribute our 3, collect our like terms, so we end up with 4x plus 3. Subtract 3 from both sides. Okay, so x in this case is going to equal 12. X again is our smaller integer, which is what it asks us to find. If you want to double check your answer, 12 plus 3 times 13 is 12 plus 39 or 51. Works out for us. Cool. So those are what we're looking for today, basically. There's a couple other ones that you'll see. One is finding mixtures. And then having to find like average blends. Okay, so for these types of problems, the only thing it's asking you to do is find the total size made up and then what the blend is. Okay, and so in this case, all we need to take a look at is a rancher mixes 50 pounds of a custom feed blend costing $1.80 per pound with 50 pounds of cheap cottonseed worth 60 cents. Okay, and so all you need to tell me is that there is 100 pounds of stuff, and the concentration or the blend of it is 50-50, like it's literally 50% each. So 50-50. That will be our blend. That's all that's asking for. The ones later on after that section start saying, here's a blend, here's what the average cost of the blend is now. Tell me how much of one of the blends I put in there to make it happen. There's one that talks about meat. I call it the Taco Bell problem. Is they take good meat and blend it with less good meat to make it cheaper to put in our delicious happier hour burritos for $1. All right, and then the last piece that you're going to see tonight is looking at more scatter plots like we did the other day. Would we prefer to do these by hand or in the calculator? The calculator, awesome. So here's what I will expect for you on your homework, okay? Build a quick scatter plot just like we looked at during the homework review today. So identify a couple pieces. This is 1965. Okay, and then show your tick marks. 85, 95, 2005. Okay. And then show these ones from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay. Get your plots. I'm going to totally rough ball this right now just to kind of show kind of what I'm expecting. Okay. So find whatever your scatter plot looks like, and then let the calculator do most of the work. So you'll build in your line of best fit as your sketch. Type all this into your calculator. Let the calculator give you the equation in the form y equals mx plus b, and give that equation with your rough sketch. Okay, and that's what we'll be expecting. All right.